Hi there, friends.
Hey.
We're back and we might be talking extra quiet. Tonight we really wanted to sit outside. It's actually like a really gorgeous evening.
It is so pretty.
It's dark, but we are sitting under the light.
And under the stars, but I don't see the moon out though.
Oh, and there are some stars. So we feel like there's like people around hanging around outside, so we're not really into talking too loud.
They want to hear our video.
Yes. So we're both feeling a little bit out of the loop right now. And I'm trying to hold this video. I just actually got back from the States last evening. And so I'm just feeling like, I feel like I'm in a bit of a daze. I feel like I'm just like running on empty a little bit. Like you left my car when I got back.
Well, I lent her my car.
Yeah, I drove her car to the States because mine was needing to get fixed. So it's quite the experience. And it's so weird. I keep walking outside and like almost thinking that I'm supposed to drive your car because I'm so used to driving your car for 2 weeks.
It is very nice having my little car back again.
I felt like I came back to mine and it just feels a bit funny. It almost feels like you got it a bit dirty.
I felt like the car seemed very clean for me.
Your car? Yeah. Well, I actually was thinking maybe there's a few things that I should clean out for you yet. But yeah, I was in the States for like 2 weeks. I was taking counseling training or 2 counseling training courses. There's like 10 altogether, and I'm just took 2, and then I have 2 more to go. So pretty pumped about that. It went pretty good. Like actually, okay. To begin with, we haven't even said what our topic is for today.
I know.
Do you want to say what our topic is for today?
Okay. I'm having some stuff in my throat. Excuse me.
Hi, hon.
Okay, let's just... You're making me feel kind of awkward. Okay, our topic is on anxiety tonight, and Tashi's making me feel awkward. I don't know why she keeps laughing.
Probably I'm laughing out of my anxiety. So yeah, our topic is on anxiety, and kind of what's like, kind of interesting about that is the last course I did in Pennsylvania was actually on anxiety and depression. And so, yeah, so the thing is, I'm trying to think how to word this, but can you stop having a little smile? I actually, like, anxiety is like a very familiar feeling to me. I feel like I've dealt with anxiety a lot ever since I've been young. And so I really wanted to do a topic on this. Do you feel like for you too, like personally, do you feel like anxiety has been a big thing?
Yeah, I think I do. Or like, I kind of did feel like just growing up, I always have had a lot of like anxiety and just like a lot of like fears and stuff. But I kind of feel like our anxiety maybe it's a little bit different in some ways. Because like, I think growing up, I also would have felt like I was like somewhat like kind of more like sometimes I almost would think was I'm more carefree than you were just like I think, but then at the same time I did feel like I like dealt with like anxiety and like fears and stuff too.
A carefree youngster.
What? That's just so weird.
Okay, I don't know why I'm really in a strange mood right but yeah, no, I actually do agree. I agree with you that I always thought that I was like a bit more would have tended to be a bit more anxious or like cautious. So yeah, I feel like I would have
go ahead.
I feel like I would have tended to be like anxious and cautious and like more of like a fearful like child and stuff. But like I also felt like I was
fearful of void.
No. I also felt like I was like I also felt like I liked taking risks, and like I was like it was like I almost like had these 2 sides, like almost like I I maybe tended to be kind of cautious and have a lot of fear and anxiety, but then I also like to have fun and like party and just like also carefree, like in my own way. Like I feel like maybe yeah, maybe me and you were just different in certain ways.
Yeah, like I do wonder if maybe anxiety has been more of a thing for you, but I think for the longest time, like I think Tash, you would have always been a lot more like open about her anxiety, whereas I would have had like some fears and anxiety. But I think mine was more like I wasn't quite as open about it. Like maybe people didn't always know that I was that as anxious and stuff. Like I think you'd have been a lot more open about it.
Yeah.
But like yeah, like I would say like just as like a kid, I would have always been like had like more fear of like even just like sleeping at night and like I mean maybe that's somewhat normal, but like I think I would have seen myself as like I would have always been like really sensitive, and I wonder if like from being so sensitive then I would have like dealt with like a lot of like anxiety and fear.
Yeah. And I think maybe me and you were similar in that way, that we were both really sensitive. And weren't you even saying today that you almost feel like in general like your family would tend to be more sensitive, or like, or even
Yeah.
what's the term, like not what's the term, or like even a sensitive conscience too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think, but that's kind of like
Yeah.
a similar thing, I think. Yeah, no, I think, and I wonder if we like, yeah, I think our family does have like that tendency. I wonder if we kind of get it from like dad a little bit, but maybe mom
I
too.
feel like mom maybe does too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what were you saying again? I kind of just like forget what you last said.
Okay, I think I was just saying how like I would have dealt with like some anxiety. Like I feel like it was just different for me and you were like maybe we had like
Yeah.
different fears. And like I also feel like kind of like I don't remember like when I was really young, I think I would have had fears. But like I think and like I would have always seen myself as like maybe more like shy, or like sometimes I would be like scared to like shy to talk with people and stuff. But like then I don't know if you would call that like social anxiety like back then, or more I was just like kind of shy, more of a shy kid. But then like when I like kind of like getting older, like going through like puberty and stuff, I really felt like I started dealing with a lot more like social anxiety and stuff. So that has like been a really big thing for me. And like yeah, like for a few years there I feel like I had a lot of like social anxiety, and like I don't think I really shared it much with like I don't know, like like when I was younger I felt like I wasn't quite as open just like sharing with like my family about it and stuff. But like yeah, like I feel like the older I've gotten, it's like then I kind of like got out of that stage. But like I do feel like I still like in certain settings I can feel more like anxious or more socially anxious. But like I would say like it was especially that stage in my life that it was just like really like more extreme like anxiety, social anxiety.
And I feel like that kind of makes sense in some ways. Like it feels like going through that like stage in like growing up probably is the time, like I feel like that is the time where you're just like really trying to find yourself. You're just like developing and stuff, that it just seems like I literally think that is a time where a lot of people would deal with like anxiety or depression or just like different like mental health stuff.
No, it totally does seem like it.
And it even seems like at that age, like maybe some people are open to share about it, but I wonder if sometimes at that age, like, are you kind of talking like, or what age? Do you know what like kind of age you're kind of specifically talking about?
I think I'm thinking specifically like when I'm like maybe in between like kind of like my teen years, like 12, 13, 14, 15 kind of like that age.
Yeah. And I feel like that is just a big age where you're just like, oh, I think what I was saying is that like at that age, like I wonder if there's some people that are open to share with like family or friends like different like stuff they're dealing with, or just like if they're feeling like anxious or depressed. But I also wonder sometimes if like at that age that like maybe you don't even know what you're feeling, like maybe you're just like I'm feeling like this, and I just like feel weird that I'm feeling like, at least from my experience. Like it seems like maybe sometimes you might not even know like what feelings you're having, and you might not even know how to like verbally like explain to someone what you're feeling. So that's why I think I just really feel for people at that age, because it seems like you can just like, you might not even understand what you're all feeling. And like you might not even feel safe to open up about it and stuff.
Yeah, and not even like know how to open up.
Yeah. Because I think I was always like, at that age, I felt like I went through, like now kind of talking about myself, when I was like kind of the ages you were talking about, I felt like I went through a time of just like, it was when we were living, I think, in Southern Ontario. Like our family was like back and forth from like Southern Ontario and up north, like just randomly, I think it was when we were living in Southern Ontario for like 3 years. And then when we moved up north, kind of over that time, like I feel like there's a lot of transition. So that might have been like kind of like caused me more anxiety. But I just felt like I went through a time when I was like, yeah, like 11, 12, 13, 14, probably to like 16, like 11 to 16 was like that was, those years were so hard for me. I felt like I was just like, I think when I was young, like kind of like you were saying, like I think I always have tended to be a bit more of like an anxious person, or just kind of like fearful. I remember I would just like talk with dad and mom about like different worries I had. Like I remember just like different, if like I had like a bump on my head, I was like worried that like I would like ask mom like if it's for sure okay and stuff. So I think even ever since I was like really young, I would just like kind of be like worried about like my health and just like different sicknesses and stuff. So I felt like I always kind of like randomly had like, was more open about my fear. But then when I went, like when I was all listen like 11 to like 15 or 16, I all listen felt like a bit more like closed off or something. And
So you felt like you were open when you were younger more?
Kind of. I felt like I was open about some, and I didn't feel like I had near as much anxiety when I was like, before I was 11.
Oh.
Like I think I had some fear, but I feel like my anxiety really like heightened maybe when I was like 11 or 12. But I felt like I was a bit more open when I was younger, and then I wonder if like, yeah, no, I don't even, in some ways I don't even quite know how to explain it. I don't know what like shut me down, but I think I just felt like, oh listen, like I wonder if like different people kind of randomly like shamed me. Or that's how I experienced it. I felt shamed for the fears I had and the anxieties I had, since I would tend to be an anxious person. And so I think, oh listen, I was like, well, is something wrong with me? Like, why am I having so many fears? Why am I having so many anxieties? Like, maybe I'm not normal. So I think that's maybe one reason why I just like shut down, and Alyson didn't really open up to many people about the fears I was having. And just like, I felt like those years were actually like really like lonely years for me, because I think I just felt like really like, who can I even talk to? Like who am I even safe to open up to? Like I think I just felt like really alone, and just really like I it was, the whole thing is, I think it was shame, like your topic last week. It was shame that kept me quiet. It was shame that kept me like hiding myself. It was shame that kept me like hiding my fears and my anxieties, because I was like, well, maybe something's wrong with me. Like someone's gonna shame me for having these fears. Like maybe I'm not normal. And so it was shame why I kept quiet. And I think looking back, it makes me so sad for myself. Like I wonder if in some ways I still need to go back and like even grieve some of those years or something. Because I think I just felt like really, I had a lot of fear. Just like, I don't know, I started having fear, like, okay, a lot of my anxiety, and even right now, I just want to be really honest that it's scary for me to share this, because it still feels like there's a lot of stigma and shame around anxiety and like fear, and I think I still feel a bit shameful about some of this stuff. So here I go. But yeah, I think I was just like, I feel like I've had like a lot of like anxiety kind of around like my health, and just like so overly worried. Like if I had a symptom, if I had like if I had a headache, I was like, oh my goodness, I have a brain tumor. And so I just like, there was this like stage in my life when I was like seriously believed I had a brain tumor. And I was way too scared to open up to anyone about it because I was like, well, what if I have a brain tumor? And then that's what anxiety does. It's like I was like, well, what if I have a brain tumor? And then I would think through all the scenarios in my head, like, what if I have a brain tumor? And then I'm gonna get really sick, and then what if I die? And the thing is, if you think in reality, the best thing is to just like talk with someone about it, because either it's reality or it's like not reality. And if I am sick, then the best thing would be to get treated or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like it was just like totally my anxiety that I just like would make myself believe that I had a brain tumor or that I had cancer. And I seriously would just like all of a sudden started to believe it. And like I think I like look back and just like I wish that I felt like safe to open up to someone about it, because I just like I felt like there were a few years there where I just dealt with so much anxiety, and I think like some social anxiety, but even just a lot of like health anxiety and just like fear, and just like I felt so alone and so like I felt like I felt like I would like put this like, maybe me and you both sometimes did this, but like I felt like even around my family and just around friends, I would put up this front that I'm like happy, that I'm this happy-go-lucky girl, that I have like no anxiety, or that I have no like, people didn't know what was going on inside of me during those years. Like it looked like I was like, because me and Nicole were like these like crazy, like we like to like joke around and just like have a party and just be kind of hilarious. Like we were kind of like, I don't even know how to explain it, but we just were kind of like, we like to have fun.
Yeah.
And me and you didn't even talk about our fear and anxiety.
At that point, had we not really?
Well, no, I mean, I think the years I'm thinking like kind of like 11 or 12 to like 14 or 15.
Yeah. Well, and the funny thing is, I wonder if like to some extent, like did we sometimes even use like humor or like joking around as even like covering up for like our anxiety or something?
I totally did.
Because like the funny thing is, I was just listening to a podcast where someone was saying that that you can like use like different things as like kind of like, I forget what it was exactly on, but use like humor and different things even as a way of like not connecting with people or like kind of covering up or something.
I wonder if that is like especially a thing for people who deal with anxiety, because they almost like, in some ways, I don't want people to think I'm anxious, so then I might like either talk a lot or just like be kind of crazy, so people, or at least that's how I was when I was younger. Like I think I would just like, me and you were these like crazy, like kind of these crazy, or I don't know how to explain it, but me and Nicole just like to have fun. So on the outside, it looked like I wasn't anxious, but on the inside, I had a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, and no, I can relate to that too. Like even with our family, I think like I felt like me and you would always just be kind of crazy, and like I felt like no one really knew that like my different like struggles or like the anxieties I was having and stuff. Yeah.
So in some ways,
oh my girl. I just spilled a bit of my tea here.
Oh no. Are you good?
Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
But yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any other like stories I was wanting to say. I see that the time is going kind of fast.
Well, can I share something? Yeah. One thing I was thinking is that like even just this topic on anxiety, I'm glad that we're like talking about it, because I don't really feel like it's talked about a whole lot. I feel like in the world, it's become like a really big thing that like everyone's talking about, like mental health, like depression, anxiety and stuff. But then I kind of feel like in our Mennonite circles, and maybe like even just in the church as a whole, I don't know, but I would say specifically in our Mennonite circles, the battery's low.
Oops.
I would say specifically in our Mennonite circles, it's not really talked about a whole lot. And so like, I just kind of want to like break that stigma and just like normalize that. I feel like I just feel like anxiety is a real thing and a lot of people deal with it. And like just any mental health, like depression or whatever you have. And so like, yeah, like we just kind of wanted to share about this, to like share our personal experiences, to like kind of like, yeah, so that people know that we're not perfect and that we just want to make more like awareness about like mental health and anxiety and like kind of break that stigma in like the church or in the Mennonite circles.
Yeah, no, totally. I feel like it isn't talked about a lot. Like kind of like I feel like there's like randomly some sermons on like fear and like anxiety, but it seems like it doesn't seem like it's just like a common topic. And like it seems like we need more, like even like how Nicole had brought in counseling the last YouTube video. Like I feel like in this area, like counseling has really helped me. Or were you gonna say something before I brought it?
Well, I was gonna say that like sometimes I've heard too that like in the church people can say like anxiety is just like a faith thing, like that you should just like if you like learn to have faith you won't have anxiety. But I think that sometimes that can help. I think that really like if you are close with God and like have verses to help you, that can help. But at the same time I think it can also sometimes just be like something that you do just need personal help for.
Yeah, no, totally. Okay, I'm glad you're bringing that in. Like almost like this is kind of reminding me of some of the topics we had last week for the course, or like for the courses that I did on anxiety and depression. Wait, are they?
I don't know.
But yeah, because I think like those courses would have been. It was kind of just like talking about
We're confused what we're hearing.
Those courses were kind of talking about like, yeah, how some people would just think like, okay, you're depressed or you're anxious because you need to have more faith. You need to trust God more. And like, I feel like that can get so twisted out of, like it can just go so, what's the word? Like so twisted out of hand. I'm trying to think, so like twisted or whatever.
Yeah, no, I think that's the right word.
Because like, okay, I feel like you need to bring in the spiritual. Like maybe they are depressed or maybe they are anxious because they're like not trusting God. But you can't have that as the whole reason why they're anxious or why they're depressed. Like you need to bring in like, I'm trying to think like even just a lot of like, I feel like a lot of anxiety and depression stems even from like past experiences, past hurts, current hurts, even just like trauma you've had. And like if you really like, I like, at least for myself, I think a lot of my anxiety came from like past hurts and past trauma and just like past things I had to work through. And I just saying, I'm still hugely in the process of working through some stuff, but like I feel like already just like getting counseling for past and present stuff has been huge. Like it has just like seriously helped me so much with my anxiety. And like I feel like just like different stuff you go through, like if you go through something hard you might all of a sudden deal with more anxiety again. But like I feel like working through past stuff, like counseling is a huge thing. And another thing is that like I feel like anxiety and depression medication actually can sometimes have a place.
No, and I was wanting to bring that up too, like, because like some people are like, it's just a faith thing. Like if you just like learn to trust God, then you won't be anxious. But like literally, I think I've been like hearing different like podcasts on this, and like I really believe that sometimes it can even be, I don't know much about this, but maybe even like a chemical imbalance or something where like maybe for like a short time you might need medication, or maybe like some people might need medication all their life. And like I also want to break that stigma of medication. Like I think that like, because I don't think it always is just a faith thing. I think sometimes it can actually be like just like a chemical imbalance where you maybe do need medication,
or even genetic. I don't know if that's like, I'm trying to figure out the difference. Like, all this stuff is like stuff I went over kind of last week. But it's hard for me to remember exactly. Like, I feel like I'm like a bit scattered with it. But yeah, either like a chemical imbalance or like genetic. Like, it might be like passed down through like your parents or something. So like sometimes some people might need medication for the rest of their lives. Some people might need it for a season. And like, I'm not all for just like pushing medication if you don't need it. Like, if there's other ways of like being able to like deal with your anxiety and depression, like I feel like I'm a huge advocate. I was trying to think of the word for like counseling, because I feel like that is huge.
Counseling, and like also just having like good tools to use. Like, it feels like once you have good tools, that can really help with anxiety too.
And I think that's something where I'm still like learning. And yeah, even just like good, like even I feel like a huge thing is like spiritual, like your time with God, like your personal time with God, like listening to worship music when you're anxious. Just like a lot of that stuff really can calm you down. Like, even like short like meditations, like even Christian meditations. I feel like I was also I just like recently went on a diet that's like really good for like mental health. I did it for a few other reasons too, even like physical reasons, but I think another good thing is just like sometimes your gut health, that can like really impact like your like anxiety, like your mental health.
Totally.
And so like I'm actually doing like a diet, like no gluten, dairy, and not much sugar. I don't know if some of them, like, yeah, I'm trying to figure out if I'm like intolerant to any of them, but I really feel like that has been really helping my mental health and just like cleaning out like my gut and stuff. This sounds a bit gross.
Okay, well, your gut, I've been hearing that your gut is like your second brain. So like that, we should do another podcast on like maybe tips or different ideas for like anxiety or the things that have helped us. Because maybe we could even do like a second episode or whatever on this.
Yeah.
And just like explain even different like how things that you can do.
Yeah. I know, it feels like this, like I feel like maybe we should be wrapping up soon, but it really feels like a second or even third one on anxiety.
I thought you were going to say a second or third gut. Or like a second or third brain.
Your gut is your second or third brain. But I feel like we definitely could at least have one more YouTube video or even a third on this. Because yeah, it feels like there's lots to talk about. I kind of felt a bit scatterbrained, so hopefully this all makes sense to you guys.
Yeah, we were kind of like feeling a bit passionate for a bit there.
Yeah. But yeah, is there anything you want to like wrap up with or anything?
You were putting me on the spot.
Putting you on that spot.
No, I can't really think of anything. Did you want to like end us in prayer though?
Oh yeah, I also wanted to just read one of my favorite verses that has like been, I don't know, probably for like at least 10 years or something.
We love it.
Has been my go-to verse because I can tend to deal with anxiety and fear. Is Proverbs 3, 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. I feel like that's a bit of a different version than some, but yeah, I just seriously love that verse. It has like, I don't read it every day, but like especially over a season of my life, I read it a lot, and it just like really helped me just like, I don't know, it doesn't always help me just like feel really trusting, but it just seems like really like reassuring and stuff. So yeah,
I like that one too.
Should I end off with prayer?
Sure.
Dear God, I just want to come before you right now. I just thank you so much for all the audience who are watching and listening to this, God. I just thank you so much for who they are, God. I just thank you for bringing them to this video. I pray that you will just really be close, that you will be really near each heart, God, whether their heart is feeling anxious, whether their heart is feeling sad or lonely or depressed or whatever they're feeling, God. I just ask that you will be really close, that you will be really near, God, that you will fill them with your Holy Spirit, God, and that your perfect love would cast out all fear, God, because you are love. And when we dwell in your presence, it casts out all fear. So I just thank you, Jesus, for who you are. And I thank you for your incredible love for each one of us. It is your love that just really surrounds us, God. So I just pray for your love to be surrounding each person and just really be filling their mind with so much truth, God, that that anxiety isn't truth, God, but that your word is truth, and that they can just really turn to your word, God, during anxious and fearful and discouraging times, God. So yeah, I just pray that you'll give everyone a really good evening. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
See ya.
Bye.